everybody. So good you're here with me today. Again, Unit 5, Too Much of a Good Thing. Today we're going to reading 2, Toward Immortality, the Social Burden of Longer Lives. Scientific understanding of aging at the cellular and molecular level may be the key to a longer lifespan. More and more scientists now believe that the human lifespan could be increased to 140 or more in the future. This may be achieved through genetic manipulation or caloric restriction, eating less. These strategies have proved effective with worms, flies, and mice. Maybe someday they will work on humans. I wonder. Okay. Look at the bold-faced words in the reading and think about the questions. 1. Which words do you know the meaning of? 2. Can you use any of the words in a sentence? If there are any words that are still hard for you, you can also look them up, yeah? Or maybe try to find the Bahasa Indonesia translation for it. Okay, let's look at the words. We got the word here, emphatic. And inevitable, radically, loveless, tolerable, and worrisome. Yeah, that's it. Those are the words in boldface that we're having here. Before we continue, I really would like you to check the text first. You guys know this already. You're gonna do your previewing, predict the text type and purpose. By looking at the title, the headings, and the visuals. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to do that. Go ahead. Okay, by doing that, we can figure out what the text type is. Please write down what you think the text type is and the purpose it has. So in our next Zoom class, we will review that. Awesome. Toward Immortality, the Social Burden of Longer Lives. Okay, before we're going to listen to the audio and read it, I want you to skim the text. So remember, we skim it by reading the introductory paragraph, the topic sentence of each body paragraph, and the concluding paragraph. And we do that to get the main idea of the text. Go ahead, skim it, and while you're skimming it, don't forget to annotate your text. Underline, circle, highlight every keyword, and then I want you to write down the main idea of the text. Pause your video to do this. Great. Okay, now we're ready to read the text. While you're reading it and also listening to it, you can annotate the body of the text. Okay? Ready. Let's go.
Toward Immortality, the Social Burden of Longer Lives by Kerr Tan, Live Science staff writer. A doubled lifespan. If scientists could create a pill that let you live twice as long while remaining free of infirmities, would you take it? If one considers only the personal benefits that longer life would bring, the answer might seem like a no-brainer. People could spend more quality time with loved ones, watch future generations grow up, learn new languages, master new musical instruments, try different careers, or travel the world. But what about society as a whole? Would it be better off if lifespans were doubled? The question is one of growing relevance, and serious debate about it goes back at least a few years to the Kronos Conference on Longevity Health Sciences in Arizona. Gregory Stock, director of the Program on Medicine, Technology, and Society at UCLA's School of Public Health, answered the question with an emphatic yes. A doubled lifespan, Stock said, would give us a chance to recover from our mistakes, lead us towards longer-term thinking, and reduce health care costs by delaying the onset of expensive diseases of aging. It would also raise productivity by adding to our prime years. Bioethicist Daniel Callahan, a co-founder of the Hastings Center in New York, didn't share Stock's enthusiasm. Callahan's objections were practical ones. For one thing, he said, doubling lifespans won't solve any of our current social problems. We have war, poverty, all sorts of issues around, and I don't think any of them would be at all helped by having people live longer, Callahan said in a recent telephone interview. The question is, what will we get as a society? I suspect it won't be a better society. Others point out that a doubling of the human lifespan will affect society at every level. Notions about marriage, family, and work will change in fundamental ways, they say, as will attitudes toward the young and the old. Marriage and family. Richard Kalish, a psychologist who considered the social effects of life extension technologies, thinks a longer lifespan will radically change how we view marriage. In today's world, for example, a couple in their 60s who are stuck in a loveless but tolerable marriage might decide to stay together for the remaining 15 to 20 years of their lives out of inertia or familiarity. But if that same couple knew they might have to suffer each other's company for another 60 or 80 years, their choice might be different. Kalish predicted that as lifespans increase, there will be a shift in emphasis from marriage as a lifelong union to marriage as a long-term commitment. Multiple brief marriages could become common. A doubled lifespan will reshape notions of family life in other ways, too, says Chris Hackler, head of the Division of Medical Humanities at the University of Arkansas. If multiple marriages become the norm, as Kalish predicts, and each marriage produces children, then half-siblings will become more common, Hackler points out. And if couples continue the current trend of having children beginning in their 20s and 30s, then 8 or even 10 generations might be alive simultaneously, Hackler said. Furthermore, if life extension also increases a woman's period of fertility, siblings could be born 40 or 50 years apart. Such a large age difference would radically change the way siblings or parents and their children interact with one another. If we were 100 years younger than our parents or 60 years apart from our siblings, that would certainly create a different set of social relationships, Hackler told Live Science. The workplace. For most people, living longer will inevitably mean more time spent working. Careers will necessarily become longer, and the retirement age will have to be pushed back, not only so individuals can support themselves, but to avoid overtaxing a nation's social security system. Advocates of anti-aging research say that working longer might not be such a bad thing. With skilled workers remaining in the workforce longer, economic productivity would go up. And if people got bored with their jobs, they could switch careers. But such changes would carry their own set of dangers, critics say. Competition for jobs would become fiercer as midlife retrainees beginning new careers vie with young workers for a limited number of entry-level positions. Especially worrisome is the problem of workplace mobility, Callahan said. If you have people staying in their jobs for 100 years, that is going to make it really tough for young people to move in and get ahead, Callahan explained. Callahan also worries that corporations and universities could become dominated by a few individuals if executives, managers, and tenured professors refuse to give up their posts. Without a constant infusion of youthful talent and ideas, these institutions could stagnate. Time to act. While opinions differ wildly about what the ramifications for society will be if the human lifespan is extended, most ethicists agree that the issue should be discussed now, since it might be impossible to stop or control the technology once it's developed. If this could ever happen, then we'd better ask what kind of society we want to get, Callahan said. We had better not go anywhere near it until we have figured those problems out.
Okay, very good. So basically from the text we can see that there are a lot of pros and cons if we would extend the lifespan. By looking at the comprehension, I want you to answer questions number 1 and 2. So in our next meeting, in a Zoom meeting, we're going to discuss them. Number 1, some people in reading 2 think a longer lifespan is a good idea. And they mentioned reasons. They gave reasons why a longer lifespan would be good. I want you to look for those reasons and write them down. And I want you to think about whether you agree or not. So I want you to recognize and find the reasons for the positive a longer lifespan, and also write down what you think about it. Number 2, some people in reading 2 do not think a longer lifespan is a good idea, so they are against it. I want you to find the reasons in the text that show the reasons why a longer lifespan is not a good idea, and I want you to think about your perspective, your opinion about it. I want you to write it down, so in our next meeting we can discuss this. Remember that when you discuss it, that you use a good structure. Peel, point, explanation, evidence, which is an example that you can take from the text and link it back. Or we also sometimes call it RL, assertion, reasoning, evidence, and linking it back. Yeah? So keep that in mind. Look for the evidence in the text. Have your own opinion about it. And remember that when you express it, you got to use the correct structure of Peel. Okay, you can pause your video to do this. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to the reading skill. Today we're talking about using titles and headings to improve comprehension. So basically we look at the titles and the headings not only to preview and to predict the text type and the purpose, but we can also do that to help us understand what is this text about, where is it going on, what should I focus on. It is an extra help for understanding. Did you look at the title and the headings before you read the article? You're supposed to though, because I told you to preview, remember? If so, did they help you understand the article? Why does it help? Could you explain that to me? Yeah, think about that, because it gives a focus, yeah? The title of a reading and the headings give the reader information. Now, good readers use the clues provided by titles and headings to help them predict the content of the whole reading and the individual sections in the reading. That's why we call it previewing, before you actually read. So previewing, to get all this, type, purpose, focus, and then skimming to get the main idea, and then you read. Based on the title and the headings, readers can ask themselves questions they think the reading or section will answer. Think about the title, Toward Immortality, the Social Burden of Longer Lives. From this title, what questions would you expect this article to answer? 2 of the choices are correct. A, how long will people live in the future? B, why will there be fewer diseases in the future? C, what problems may longer lives cause for society? Okay, you gotta pick 2. 2 choices are correct. What is the article about? Okay. Yes. Okay, the best answers are A and C, right? So we'll look here. The answers are, how long will people live in the future and what problems may longer lives cause for society? Exactly. Because the words immortality and longer lives are in the title. We can know that because those words are used within the title. Therefore, we know that the author will probably mention how long people will live Answer C is also correct because the word social burden suggests there will be problems or issues with longer lives. Answer B is not a good choice because there is no indication. In the title, the article will discuss medical issues associated with longer lives. So from the title and subheadings, we can see, we can know, we can predict. Exactly. Just as with titles, headings and subheadings also provide clues as to what you can expect to find in those sections of the text. Yeah, title for the whole text, heading and subheading, so just smaller titles. Imagine that you are looking at the headings from reading 2 for the first time. For each heading, write 2 questions you might ask. Okay, the first one is a doubled lifespan. 2, marriage and family. And 3, workplace. I'd like you to write down 2 questions for each point. Number 1, 2, and 3. What question can you make by only looking at this sentence? A doubled lifespan, or marriage and family, or the workplace. What 2 questions can you come up with? Pause your video and try this out. Okay, great, well done. Why is it important to do this? Because you're learning to predict. You're learning to focus. You're learning to read between the lines. You're learning to correlate facts and components, okay? From this we can see, we can predict. By looking at this, we can predict what is it about, and that will help you what to focus on. And therefore, when you read or in an audio, same thing, you will pick up far more. Yes, so good. Okay, that brings us to the last part, which is connecting the readings. Okay, you guys already know, right, how this goes. We've got text 1 from reading 1, text 2 from reading 2. We're looking at components from both texts. We are collecting, organizing the points. And then we go to step 2, which is synthesizing, where we are using multiple sources in order to create something new. Exactly. So, reading 1 and reading 2 discuss both positive and negative effects of longer lifespans. Complete the cause and effect diagram with information from the readings. So, cause, effect. Understanding of aging at cellular and molecular levels, that comes from reading 2. Caloric restriction, reading 2. The process, remember the process, that comes from reading 1. We're talking about a prolonged lifespan, right? Okay, the effects, marriage positive effect, marriage negative effect. What are the pointers from reading 1 and 2? Careers positive effect, careers negative effect, reading 1 and 2. Family structure positive effect, family structure negative effect. I want you to look these points up in the text, scan through the text. What is that again? You go through the text without really reading it. You're keywording. You're really looking for a keyword or a synonym and finding it. Ta-da! And then you're really carefully reading through it to find the answer that you're looking for. Okay? Take some time to scan through the text to fill this out, because this helps you to scan, keyword focusing and finding, and it helps you to correlate points. Go ahead. Great job. Yes, that brings us to synthesizing. Yeah, bioethicist Daniel Callahan asked, when talking about the potential for doubled lifespans, what will we get as a society? I suspect it won't be a better society. On a separate piece of paper, write a paragraph about whether you agree or disagree with his statement. Support your answer with at least 3 pieces of information from step 1. Okay, you do not have to write a paragraph, but you have to prepare your opinion. Okay, so this synthesizing, what we're going to do in our next Zoom class, we're going to express our opinion, but based on PEEL, point, explanation, evidence linking back, or RL, assertion, reasoning, evidence linking back. Yeah, so the opinion that you're going to give is based on what will we get as a society. I suspect it won't be a better society if we doubled our lifespans. Do you agree or not? And please explain with reasons, give examples, give evidence, and take the evidence from the text, take the evidence based on what you wrote down here Okay, the evidence that you will use is based on the cause and effect diagram that you have filled out. Okay, give your opinion. Doubled lifespan, what will it get as a society? Will it be better or not? Your opinion, reasons, and evidence based on this diagram stated in the correct order. Peel. Okay? Cool. I am gonna give you some time right now to do that. Okay, very good. That brings us to the end of our lesson today. Yeah? We're going to review what we did today. We started off with our vocabulary, the bold-faced words. You had to look at whether you knew the words or know the words. And are you able to create a sentence by using the words, such as emphatic. We looked at the words loveless, tolerable, radically, inevitably, worrisome were some of the words that we looked at, and trying to make a sentence by using those words. Then we went over comprehension. You had to answer 2 questions based on the text by scanning through the text to find an answer to it and to discuss the reasons for it using Peel. Then we did a reading skill using titles and headings to improve comprehension, understanding a text better by looking at the titles, headings, and subheadings, and using it to predict to get a better focus and better understand what the text is about. And last, we connected reading 1 with reading 2, looking at the causes and effects, and create a discussion on expressing our opinion with a formalized structure of Peel or Arel to say what we think about a particular sentence and explaining it, giving reasons and examples. Good. Awesome. You're amazing. Thank you for joining me today, and we will see each other soon, very fast. I think you are awesome, and till we meet again. Bye.